The bus terminal was nearly deserted that Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the morning. The cold June wind blew through the broken windows of the terminal, carrying the smell of reheated coffee and diesel fuel. Lucas was 28 years old and returning from an exhausting work trip. His eyes burned with fatigue as he waited for the bus that would take him home. That's when he saw her. An elderly woman with gray hair, probably in her 70s, sat alone on a worn wooden bench. She clutched a small floral fabric suitcase and looked around with an expression that mixed confusion and fear. Her hands trembled slightly. Lucas hesitated for a moment. Most people walked right past, absorbed in their own problems. But something about that lost look made him stop. "Are you okay, ma'am?" he asked, approaching carefully so as not to startle her. The woman looked up, and he could see immediate relief on her face. "Oh, young man, I'm so lost. My son was supposed to pick me up hours ago, but he never showed up. My phone is dead and I don't know what to do." Her voice was fragile, heavy with anxiety. Lucas felt his heart tighten. He imagined his own mother in a situation like this. "Do you have his number? I can call from my phone." "Yes, I do. It's here in my little notebook." She opened her purse with trembling hands and pulled out a small address book, one of those old ones with a worn leather cover. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. These simple actions help us tremendously to continue bringing emotional stories like this one. ****. Lucas took the notebook and found the number. He dialed, but no one answered. He tried 2 more times. Nothing. "What's your name, ma'am?" "Mrs. Irene. I live in Petropolis, but I went to visit my sister in Campos. My son Raphael arranged to pick me up here at the Rio bus station at 11 at night, but—" She looked at the clock on the wall. "It's already past 2 in the morning." Lucas noticed she was starting to tremble more. The cold, the worry, the exhaustion, everything weighed on that fragile woman. "Mrs. Irene, have you had dinner?" She shook her head. "Then come with me. Let's have a hot coffee and eat something while I keep trying to reach your son." Mrs. Irene's eyes filled with tears. "God bless you, son. There are so many bad people out there, but good people still exist." Lucas helped her stand up and carried her suitcase. They went to the terminal cafeteria, which was still open. He ordered 2 coffees with milk, cheese bread, and a ham and cheese sandwich for her. While Mrs. Irene ate slowly, clearly exhausted, Lucas tried calling the number again. On the 4th attempt, someone finally answered. "Hello?" a male voice answered, sounding groggy and confused. "Hi, is this Raphael? I'm here at the Rio bus terminal with your mother, Mrs. Irene. She's been waiting for hours." There was a long silence on the other end. Then Lucas heard a gasp of panic. "Oh my God! Mom, I fell asleep. I work night shifts and I got home, set an alarm, but I was so tired I didn't hear it. Is she okay? Please, is she okay?" The desperation in Raphael's voice was genuine. Lucas could hear him was already moving around, probably getting dressed quickly. "She's fine. A bit cold and worried, but she's okay. We're having coffee now. Thank God. Thank God someone good found her. I'm leaving right now. I live in Tijuca. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Please, please stay with her. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did this to my own mother." Lucas could hear the man's voice breaking with guilt. "It's okay, man. I'll stay with her. Drive carefully." He hung up and looked at Mrs. Irene, who was watching him with anxious eyes. "Your son is on his way. He fell asleep after work and didn't hear the alarm. He's very worried about you." Mrs. Irene closed her eyes and took a deep breath, her shoulders dropping with relief. "That boy works so much, too much. He's been doing double shifts at the hospital to pay for his daughter's school. I should have taken a taxi, but I didn't want to spend his money. Comment below which city you're watching from. It's amazing to see how these real-life stories touch people from all over Brazil and the world. ****. Lucas listened as Mrs. Irene told him about her life. About Rafael, her only son, a nurse who had been widowed 3 years ago and was raising his 10-year-old daughter alone. About how she visited him every month to help with the house and cook meals he could freeze for the week. About how proud she was of him, despite everything. 23 minutes later, a man in his 40s burst through the cafeteria door. His eyes were red, his hair messy, and his face showed pure anguish. When he saw his mother, he ran to her. "Mom! Mom, I'm so sorry." Rafael knelt beside her chair, holding her hands. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I just—" "It's okay, son. It's okay." Mrs. Irene stroked his face with her wrinkled hand. "This kind young man took care of me." Rafael stood up and turned to Lucas. His eyes were filled with tears. "I don't know how to thank you. If something had happened to her, if someone bad had found her instead of you." He couldn't finish the sentence. Lucas felt uncomfortable with the gratitude. He didn't think he had done anything special. Anyone would have done the same, he said, though deep down he knew that wasn't entirely true. "No, they wouldn't," Rafael said firmly. "I work at a public hospital. I see every day what people are capable of doing to each other. What you did. You didn't just help my mother. You gave me back the most important person in my life." He pulled a card from his wallet and handed it to Lucas. "This is my contact. If you ever need anything at all, you call me. I mean it." Lucas took the card more out of politeness than anything else. He never imagined he would actually use it. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We post stories like this one every week, and you won't want to miss what happens next in Chapter 2. ****. #Clapperboard Chapter 2. The Unexpected Call. 3 weeks passed. Lucas had practically forgotten about that early morning at the bus terminal. Life returned to its normal routine. Work at the accounting firm, gym 3 times a week, weekend beers with friends. The incident with Mrs. Irene became just a good story he told at happy hours. Until his phone rang on a Wednesday afternoon. "Lucas? This is Rafael, Irene's son, from the bus terminal." "Oh, hi. Is everything okay with your mother?" Lucas felt a small wave of worry. Yes, she's fine. Actually, I'm calling because I need to talk to you about something. Can we meet for coffee? It's important." The seriousness in Rafael's voice intrigued Lucas. They arranged to meet the next day at a cafe in Botafogo, halfway between both their locations. When Lucas arrived, Rafael was already there, looking nervous. He had dark circles under his eyes that suggested he hadn't been sleeping well. "Thanks for coming," Rafael said, shaking his hand firmly. "I know this is strange, but I needed to talk to someone outside my situation." They ordered coffee and Rafael began to speak. What came out was a story Lucas hadn't expected. Rafael had been a nurse at Hospital Municipal Miguel Couto for 15 years. He loved his job despite the exhausting shifts and difficult conditions. 3 years ago, his wife Camila died in a car accident, leaving him alone with their daughter Sofia, who was 7 at the time. "The first year was hell," Rafael said, staring at his coffee. "I was drowning in debt, grief, and trying to be both parents to a traumatized little girl. But I managed. I took on extra shifts, my mother helped a lot, and Sofia started to smile again." "That must have been incredibly hard," Lucas said. "It was. But we were making it work. Until 6 months ago." Rafael paused, his jaw clenching. "My supervisor started pressuring me to participate in a scheme. They're diverting medications and medical supplies to sell on the black market. High-value stuff, antibiotics, surgical materials, even controlled substances. Lucas felt his stomach drop. I refused, obviously. I'm not that kind of person. But then... Raphael's voice hardened. They started threatening me. Said if I didn't cooperate, they'd make sure I lost my job. And with my record tarnished, I'd never work in healthcare again. What would you do in this situation? Comment your opinion below. And don't forget to like if you're invested in Raphael's story. ***. Have you gone to the police? Lucas asked. That's the problem. The scheme involves people high up. Police, administration officials. I tried to report it anonymously to the health department, but nothing happened. I think the complaint never even got investigated. Raphael leaned forward, his eyes intense. When you helped my mother that night, I saw something. You didn't just help because it was convenient. You stayed with her, made sure she was safe, didn't ask for anything in return. That told me you're someone with principles. Lucas felt uncomfortable with where this was going. Raphael, I'm just an accountant. I don't know what I could. That's exactly why I'm talking to you, Raphael interrupted. You have access to financial systems. You understand how money moves, how to trace transactions. I've been collecting evidence, photos of the diverted supplies, records of deliveries that don't match invoices, names, dates. But I don't know what to do with it. He pulled a USB drive from his pocket and placed it on the table. Everything is here. I need someone I can trust to help me figure out the next step. Someone they can't threaten because they don't know you exist in this context. Lucas stared at the USB drive as if it were a live grenade. This is dangerous, Raphael. If these people are as connected as you say... I know. Believe me, I know. I've been losing sleep for months, terrified they'll go after Sophia or my mother. But I can't keep working in a system that's literally stealing from dying patients. Every medication they divert is one less person getting treatment. Every supply they sell is a surgery that gets delayed. Raphael's voice broke. Last week, a kid died because we didn't have the antibiotic he needed. I know we had it. I saw it in the storage room 3 days before. But when the doctor ordered it, suddenly it was out of stock. That boy was 8 years old, Lucas. Same age as Sophia. The cafe buzzed with afternoon conversations around them, people laughing, complaining about work, planning their weekends. None of them knew that at this small table, a decision was being made that could change several lives. Lucas thought about his comfortable life, his safe job, his predictable routine. He thought about Mrs. Irene, alone and afraid in that bus terminal. He thought about the choice between doing what was easy and doing what was right. Okay, he heard himself say. Let me look at what you have. I can't promise anything, but I'll try to help. Raphael's relief was palpable. His shoulders dropped, and for the first time since they'd sat down, he smiled. Thank you. You have no idea what this means. But Lucas was already beginning to understand the weight of what he'd agreed to. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see how this story unfolds. Chapter 3 is going to be intense, and you won't want to miss it. ****. That night, Lucas sat in his apartment with his laptop, the USB drive inserted. The files Raphael had collected were damning. Photos of supply rooms with inventory numbers visible. Screenshots of altered invoices. A spreadsheet comparing official orders versus actual stock. Names, dates, amounts. It was meticulous, careful work. Raphael had been documenting for months. But as Lucas dug deeper, connecting the financial trails, he found something that made his blood run cold. The scheme wasn't just local to one hospital. The transactions pointed to a network across multiple hospitals in Rio, all feeding into a central distribution point. And the amounts involved weren't thousands of reis, they were millions. This was bigger and more dangerous than either of them had imagined. His phone buzzed. A message from Raphael. "Did you look at the files?" Lucas called him back. "We need to be very careful about how we handle this," Lucas said. "This isn't just a corrupt supervisor. This is organized crime using the healthcare system." "I know," Raphael's voice was quiet. "I'm scared, Lucas. But I'm more scared of what happens if I do nothing." They talked for over an hour, strategizing. Lucas suggested they needed to find a journalist with a track record of protecting sources, someone who could publish the story with enough impact that the authorities would have to act. He also said they should compile everything into a format that was impossible to refute, cross-referenced, time-stamped, with clear chains of custody. "This will take time," Lucas warned. "A few weeks, maybe a month." "I can wait," Raphael said. "I've waited this long." But time, as they would soon discover, was something they didn't have much of. #Clapperboard Chapter 3 The Risk Worth Taking. 2 weeks later, Lucas was deep into organizing the evidence into a comprehensive dossier. He'd been working late nights after his regular job, cross-referencing financial data with Raphael's documentation. They were getting close to having something bulletproof. Then Raphael called, his voice panicked. "They know. Someone knows I'm collecting information." "What happened?" "I came home today and things in my apartment were moved. Nothing stolen, but my desk drawer was open, the one where I keep my personal documents. And there was a note." Raphael's breathing was ragged. It said, "People who ask too many questions put their families at risk." "Lucas, they know about Sophia. They mentioned my daughter." Lucas felt ice in his veins. "Where is she now?" "With my mother in Petropolis. I sent them there this morning as soon as I found the note. But I don't know how long they'll be safe there. These people, they have reach." This is getting intense. If you're on the edge of your seat, hit that like button and comment what you think Raphael should do. Your engagement helps us keep bringing these powerful stories. ***. Lucas made a decision in that moment. "We're going to the media tomorrow. We have enough. It's not perfect, but it's enough to start an investigation if we get it to the right person." "Are you sure?" "No," Lucas admitted. "But waiting longer just gives them more time to cover their tracks or hurt someone." They spent that night finalizing everything. Lucas created multiple backup copies of all the data, stored in different cloud services under anonymous accounts. He drafted a cover memo explaining the context, the connections, the financial trails. Raphael wrote a detailed account of the threats and pressures he'd faced. By sunrise, they had a package that told a complete, devastating story. Lucas had researched investigative journalists in Rio and identified 3 with strong reputations for taking on corruption cases. The first 2 they tried to contact didn't respond to their initial emails. The third, a woman named Patricia Costa who worked for a major newspaper, replied within 2 hours. "I want to meet. Today. This looks serious." They met her at a public park in Flamengo. Patricia insisted on public places for first meetings. She was in her 50s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and a no-nonsense demeanor. She listened to their story, reviewed samples of the documentation on a tablet Lucas brought, and asked pointed questions that showed she knew exactly how these kinds of schemes operated. "This is good work," she finally said. "Really good. But you understand what you're getting into, right? The people involved will fight back. Your names will come out eventually." "I know," Raphael said. "But I can't keep silent anymore. Not after that kid died." Patricia studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay. I'll take it. Give me a week to verify everything independently and build additional sources. I won't publish until I'm absolutely certain every detail is airtight." As they handed over copies of all the evidence, Lucas felt a strange mix of relief and dread. They'd set something in motion that couldn't be stopped now. Don't forget to subscribe. We're in the final stretch of this incredible story and you'll want to see how it ends. ****. The next week was the longest of Lucas's life. He went to work, tried to act normal, but constantly checked his phone for news. Raphael was staying with his mother and daughter in Petropolis, afraid to return to his apartment. Then, on a Tuesday morning, the story broke. The headline screamed across the newspaper's website, "Massive medical supply theft ring exposed in Rio hospitals, millions diverted while patients die." Patricia's article was devastating. She'd not only used Raphael and Lucas's documentation, but had found 3 other healthcare workers willing to speak anonymously, and she'd traced some of the diverted supplies to private clinics in wealthy neighborhoods. She'd connected the dots to specific deaths that occurred when critical supplies were mysteriously unavailable. The impact was immediate. The state public prosecutor's office announced an investigation. The federal police got involved. Within 48 hours, 8 people were arrested, including the supervisor who'd threatened Raphael and 2 hospital administrators. But Patricia had kept her word. Raphael was referred to only as a healthcare worker who documented the scheme at great personal risk. Lucas wasn't mentioned at all. Raphael called Lucas that evening. "Did you see? They're arresting people. It's really happening. I saw. How are you feeling?" "Terrified. Relieved. Guilty. Proud. Everything at once." Raphael laughed shakily. "My supervisor was arrested at the hospital this morning. They led him out in handcuffs in front of everyone." Over the next month, the investigation expanded. More arrests were made. The scheme turned out to be even larger than they'd documented, involving nearly a dozen hospitals and generating an estimated 12 million Brazilian reals in illegal profits over 3 years. Raphael was eventually called to testify, but by then there was so much evidence and so many witnesses coming forward that he was just one voice among many. The authorities offered him protection, but the main organizers were behind bars and the network was dismantled. 3 months after the article published, Lucas and Raphael met for coffee again, at the same cafe in Botafogo where Raphael had first shown him the USB drive. Raphael looked different. The dark circles were gone. He smiled more easily. "Sophia started therapy," he told Lucas. "With all the stress of the past year, she needed it. But she's doing better. And my mother, well, she wants to meet you again. She keeps saying you're her guardian angel." "I'm not any kind of angel," Lucas protested. "I just did what seemed right." "That's exactly what makes the difference," Raphael said seriously. "Most people know what's right. But you actually did it. Twice. First with my mother, then with all this." He pulled out an envelope and handed it to Lucas. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a letter, handwritten in shaky script. It was from Mrs. Irene. "Dear Lucas, my son told me everything you did to help him. Because you helped an old woman at a bus terminal, you saved so many more people. The doctors say the medication they recovered will help hundreds of patients. You are a blessing. I am 73 years old. I have seen much in this life, both good and bad. I have learned that God puts people in our path at the right moment for a reason. You were in that bus terminal at 2 a.m. not by accident. You were there so my son could find someone he could trust. Thank you for being a good man. The world needs more like you. With love and gratitude. Irene. Lucas felt his throat tighten as he read it. She also sent this, Raphael added, pulling out a small package. Inside was a simple bracelet made of brown wooden beads. "She makes these. She wanted you to have one." Lucas turned the bracelet over in his hands, feeling its weight. "I'm going to apply to work at a different hospital," Raphael continued. "Start fresh somewhere without all these associations. But I'm staying in healthcare. I realize through all this that even when the system is broken, there are still people worth fighting for." Comment below if this story touched you. And please, subscribe to the channel. Stories like these matter, and your support helps us share them with more people. ****. They talked for another hour, but the conversation had shifted from crisis to future plans. Raphael spoke about Sophia's school performance improving, about his mother's health, about hope. As Lucas walked home that evening, he thought about how strange life was. 3 months ago, he'd been a regular guy living a routine life, and his biggest concern was meeting accounting deadlines. Now he'd helped expose a criminal network, potentially saved lives, and formed an unexpected friendship born from crisis. He looked at Mrs. Irene's bracelet on his wrist. It wasn't magical or special, just simple wooden beads on a string. But it meant something. It was a reminder that small choices could have big consequences. That showing up at the right moment and choosing to help could change everything. His phone buzzed. A text from Raphael. "Thank you again. For everything. You gave me back my courage when I thought I'd lost it." Lucas smiled and typed back, "You had it all along. You just needed someone to believe in you." And that, Lucas realized, was the truth at the heart of everything. We all carry courage inside us. Sometimes we just need one other person, someone who helps us when we're lost, someone who stands with us when we're afraid, to help us find it again. That Tuesday morning at 2 a.m. in a nearly deserted bus terminal, Lucas thought he was just helping an elderly woman find her son. He had no idea he was starting a chain of events that would expose corruption, save lives, and prove that one person's decision to do the right thing could ripple outward in ways impossible to predict. Thank you for reading this story to the end. If it moved you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear a story about courage and doing what's right. Comment below your city and what you thought about this journey. See you in the next story.